Yeah, so next thing it's first.
All right. Now we're going to do a unit on acids and bases. Who's heard of an acid? Now, all of you should raise your hand. I mean, acids are super common. What about a base? Have you heard the term base before? Well, you've had. Okay, all right. Sometimes it's called alkaline. Alkaline, the old term, kind of going back to the alchemist days. And it's used interchangeably. In cooking, they never use basic, they always use alkaline conditions. Agriculture kind of goes back and forth. Depends if you're at a feed store versus in a lab regarding agricultural stuff. The feed store is going to use alkaline, the lab, they're going to use basic. We're also going to learn about a term called pH. Who's heard of pH? Okay. Does anyone know what it means?
We're all on the acid and base scale. Is that how you're talking?
Yeah, and you know how it's derived? Okay. So, and pH is really a valuable term. It's not in the scope of this class, but it will be after we're done today and tomorrow. It's a very useful term. pH is a measurement or a metric for how acidic something is or how alkaline something is, because there's a pH and a pOH. Very few people have heard of pOH, and it's related to pH. We'll get into all that. Okay, so now there are probably 5 definitions of what is an acid. I'm going to use the one that is the most popular, as opposed to some of the esoteric ones. If you're taking 400 or 401, you get into some more, or 420, you get into some more esoteric versions of what's an acid. Okay. Okay. Okay, a chemical compound that disassociates a H plus ion. That means if a compound has hydrogens in it, it could be an acid or not be an acid. And there's 2 kinds of acids. There is strong acid and there are 7 of those in the world. We are going to be responsible for 3. That's hydrochloric, stomach acid, Gould acid, nitric or printer's acid, and sulfuric. Now, what is a strong acid? A strong acid is 100%, no exceptions, of the H disassociates. Only 1 or 2 or 3. Most of the time, it's just 1. So what that means is we have HCl, and that's a gas that you bubble through water to form the acid. So there is what they're saying here is there is no HCl present as a molecule because it's totally 100% broken up into these guys. Okay, so strong acid, weak acid, There are 3 million weak acids. You're only responsible for the first million. Almost all acids are weak, particularly the ones in your body. The only one that's not weak in your body is in your stomach. That's hydrochloric acid. Example of that is, oh, what, one that you're familiar with, oh, by the way, let me back up to, strong acids. Remember the scene in Breaking Bad when the bathtub fell through the floor? Acid did he use? He used hydrofluoric acid, HF. HF is one bad acid. It ate through the floor, and that's all, he's lucky that's all it did. I had a student up in Washington who was worked for the Coast Guard, and he inspected container ships. And he wore this hazmat suit. Now, hazmat suits are super tough and resilient to anything corrosive. Well, one day he looked down in his arm and there was a hole in his hazmat suit. And he looked up and there was a hole in the top of the ceiling. And he looked all the way up, 10 containers up, and there was a vat of HF leaking. So he immediately took off his hazmat suit, and he had a scar, not a scar, but a hole in his arm for years, and it ended up scarring over. And that's all done by HF.
He didn't feel it?
Huh?
He didn't feel it when it was happening? He just saw the hole in
But,
his.
they didn't feel it. And I think it's because it destroyed the nerves. It's like when you have a really bad burn, you don't feel it because it burned away the nerve endings.
Mhm.
I would be willing to guess that's what happened, because he said it's just a hole in his arm.
Okay.
So, yeah, HF was bad stuff. Anyway, that's one of the 7 strong acids. Okay, now, a weak acid is, not all of it disassociates. Strong acids, all of it disassociates. So let's look at what's a simple weak acid. Most weak acids are multiprotic acids, meaning that there's more than one H that disassociates. Well, let's just do one. That's phosphoric acid. That's what they put in Cokes to combat the sweetness. Acids taste sour. Have you ever tasted a flat Coke? Who likes it? No one does, right? And that's because all the phosphorescent is gone. Now, acids are very sour, sweet, Sweets obviously are super sweet. To balance that off, so it doesn't taste so sweet, they put acid in it. Phosphoric acid is one of them. Another is carbonic acid, that's from the CO2. Can anyone guess how many grams of sugar is in a regular Coke? And
30 grams.
38 grams. That's about 2/3 of the way up to fill it. That's how much sugar there is. It's amazing. Amazing. And sometimes it's high fructose corn syrup. You get your Coke from Mexico, it's cane sugar. Let me tell you a story about fructose. This one, kind of a side story. There was a study done in Appalachia back in, West Virginia, Western Virginia, et cetera. And they were, competing for a contract, Coke versus Mountain Dew. Well, Mountain Dew won. And Mountain Dew is even sweeter than Coke. So they have to put a lot of acid in there to counteract that sweet. Well, the problem with fructose is it, in the dopamine part of your brain, it heightens it quite a bit. So all the children there were drinking Mountain Dew instead of something more healthy, like 10 cans a day.
Mhm.
Of course, it blew out their juvenile team, and all of them were way overweight. And it was a corporate greed that did it. Corporate greed. So, fructose is really bad for you. In my 306 class, I go into depth what's going on. It's really bad stuff. It's too bad. Okay, so phosphoric acid is a weak acid. Now notice I have two arrows, one going and one coming. The reason for that is there is less than 100% there. It could be 10%. So here's the acid part here. Now, if the chemical has an H in it, it could be an acid. Could be. So you have strong acids, weak acids, and no acids. Why would it not be an acid?
Hydrogen isn't disassociated at all.
Yeah, H doesn't dissociate. So let me give you an example. That's ethanol, drinking alcohol. So this is 100% here. So that's how you break down an acid. Is it strong? Everything goes over. Is it weak? Now, when you do calculations with weak acids, they're very complicated compared to strong acids. Strong acids, if you know the moles of HCl, you automatically know the moles of H and the moles of Cl, because it's a 1 to 1 to 1. So a lot of the calculations, you're given grams of the strong acid. And from there, you can calculate moles of strong acid. And then you know that that strong acid is no longer together. By definition, it's broken apart. So then because it's a 1 to 1 to 1, you know that it's the same moles of H, same moles of Cl. So what I mean by that is, say you start with 5 moles of HCl. As soon as it hits the water, it is no longer HCl, it becomes H. Let's do that over here. So initially we have 5 moles of this. 0 of this, 0 of that. We haven't put it in water yet. Remember, it's a gas. Okay, finally, after it all dissolves and everything, we have 0 moles of HCl and 5 moles and 5 moles. So that's really an aid and doing calculations with strong acids. Now, the problem with weak acids, every one of them is different. You don't know how much goes over. You need something called an equilibrium constant. And that constant tells you how much goes over. And every single one is different. So that's why we don't do any calculations involving weak acids. You get to do that in 401, actually. Okay. So that's acids. Acids dissociate H plus. What about a base?
Professor,
Yeah.
the only way to measure acid is after it. Water.
Mhm.
So it's like after you put it in water, then you can measure the acidity of how much H dissociates.
So it's hard to measure. When you measure the volume.
That's what you can measure. That's it.
Okay, let's talk about a base chemical compound that dissociates an OH ion instead of H. And there are strong bases, weak bases, and no bases, just like with acids. So a strong base. It disassociates 100% of the OH. It's like a strong acid, 100%. Example of that would be sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide, barium hydroxide. Any of the hydroxides are usually bases, and some of them are also strong bases. Most are weak, but there are some that are strong. Like this is called lye, by the way, sodium hydroxide. You get that from burning carbohydrates like wood. And the ashes left over are sodium hydroxide. That's how the pioneers made soap. To make lye soap, you need lye plus the fat. So they would get the fat from the hog that they would trail along. Once they slaughtered, they keep the fat. They get the lye from the ashes from their campfires. They would just collect them, put them in water, mix it up, and it produces lye. And then boil those together, and you make soap. Okay, so there's also potassium hydroxide. Those are the two most common strong bases. Weak base. That would be like ammonium hydroxide. When you clean your kitchen, they say, oh, it's got ammonia in it, because ammonia will saponify fats. Well, it's not really NH3, which is ammonia, it's NH4OH. Because when NH3 is in water, it forms NH4OH. Now, as an aside, I've invented a pesticide that is not only cheap, it's extremely eco-friendly. What you do is you buy a jug of Parsons ammonia for $3.20 at Rayleigh's. And in a spray bottle, you put about that much in, the rest goes water. Costs you about 30 cents for that. It kills flies, cockroaches, spiders. And what's cool about it is, say you spray it on your window. Flies love to land on your window, right? You hit them with a fly swatter, splat, right? This is even better. You spray it, once you get pretty far away, depending on your sprayer. And what happens is, it hits them and they either die on the spot or drop down to the bottom. And the cool thing is, the next day, there's no residue from the spray. Because it was just in water. And ammonia is a gas. Evaporates away. So it's cheap, eco-friendly, pet-friendly. And I've been doing that for years. And my daughter tried it on, she lives in Davis, and gnats are a problem in Maine. Kills the gnats really well. So anyway. Better mind. And you know, the other stuff is super bad for the environment. Costs you $8 for a spray bottle. It kills really well. Not any better than mine, but it kills really well. Then you got all the toxins. You have pets around and. So anyway, and it's Parsons. $3.20 for the jug. Okay, so weak base. So this is going to be. So this is going to be less than 100%. This is, excuse me, yeah, and then less than 100% as well. Now, again, it's got the double arrow. That means there's some of what you start with, some of what happens when you disassociate the OH from there. And then there's not a base. So if it's got an OH on it, it could potentially be a base. Now, alcohols, by definition, are defined as the functional group is an OH. So then you'd think, well, alcohols automatically become a base. However, none of them become a base because the OH doesn't dissociate, doesn't come off. So we have ethanol, drinking alcohol again. And there are very few strong bases. Very few strong ones. Okay, now the interesting thing, are there any questions about distinguishing acids and bases? And basic environment's going to be alkaline environment as well. One and the same, yeah.
For HCl, it is that after it touches water and the molecules separate, it's 5H and 5Cl as a compound, it's just 5.
If you're starting with 5 moles, yeah, it'd be 5 and 5. But no HCl together. Because by definition, the strong one says it totally comes apart. It's like a strong acid. There's no parent available.
Yeah.
It's totally dissociated.
I was
Same
just saying
concept.
initially HCl is at 5 moles, but then it doubles.
Yeah, but once it hits the water, then it
Separates,
separates into 5 moles of H, 5 moles of Cl.
but as a compound, it's just 5.
And that's what you use for your calculation, is
Together.
Okay. All right. Now, the interesting thing about acids and bases, the most common compound on Earth is what? Hence, it's a liquid. Hmm? What, what'd you say? Water. Most common element on Earth. Excuse me, common compound on Earth. Most common element is hydrogen, which is part of water. Okay, so let's look at water. What's the formula for water? This is a toughie. H2O. Okay, so let's look at water now. Well, instead of saying H2O, we're gonna go HOH. Now, it's got an H. It could be an acid. It's got an OH, could be a base. But guess what? It does both. So what happens is does that. So it fulfills the function of an acid, disassociate an H ion, fulfills the definition of a base, fulfills, the OH minus. So your water is both an acid and a base. Now, the problem with water, it's so ubiquitous, it's all over the place. It's, if you don't get enough of it, you'll die. You get too much of it, you'll die. You have to get just the right amount. And it can't be too acidic. It can't be too alkaline. If Flint, Michigan had alkaline water, that should be acidic water. So the acid in the water leached out lead. So any of you live in an older house, there's something called a lead gooseneck. That before about 1980, all the houses had it. And basically, when this pipe comes off the street and meshes with the pipe inside your house, it's never a perfect angle. So lead is soft. So it goes through this lead gooseneck, and you can bend the gooseneck to fit any angle you want, which is really the problem is it's lead. But if your water is acidic, you're leaching those lead ions out. Lead is extremely bad for you. What it does, it ties up an amino acid called cysteine. And if that amino acid happens to be in an enzyme, the enzyme stops working. And the only way to get rid of it is you screen it. There's no cure. Mercury, same way. Mercury and lead are the biggies. So the idea is not to have acidic water. It's really easy to tell. You just check the pH. When we talked about pH a while ago, it's a metric for measuring how acidic something is. So there's some calculations you can do with water, and you end up with pH equals 7. pH 7 is considered neutral. Now, we're going to get into what pH is mathematically. It's the negative logarithm of the hydrogen ion concentration. For now, just consider 7 is neutral. If it's less than 7, it's acidic. If it's greater than 7, it's alkaline or basic. Now notice pH, little p, big H. The P is always lowercase, never uppercase. So water is very handy. Frequently you measure your pool water, your spa water, your potable water that you're drinking. You should always get a handle on that. And it should not be acidic. Sometimes water is slightly acidic, like up at Tacoma Community College, our water there was acidic in the lab. So, is that an old, Tacoma's a pretty old city, well, I'm sorry, no. And it's just had a lot of old homes there, along with lead paint as well, another bad deal. So we had lead pipes, lead paint. In fact, the lead pipes during Roman times was one vector that they thought was the downfall of the Roman Empire. Because they were drinking leaded water, basically. So it has an interesting history. Okay. So I'm going to do one calculation for you, then we'll finish up tomorrow on a typical acid base problem. Now, when you get into acid-base calculations, square brackets is another way of saying molarity. It's used interchangeably. So you could say resulting also. And that's an H too, even though it doesn't. Okay. So remember, concentration is moles per liter. So the first thing we need to do is calculate how many moles of HCl we've got. Well, H is 101. Chloride is it 35, 45? Oh, what a stretch. Oh, it is. Good. How about that? Okay, so molar mass for HCl is 3646. So we're starting off with 5 grams HCl. Okay, so now we calculated the moles of HCl. Automatically, we know the moles of H and the moles of Cl. Because the stoichiometric equation balanced is 1 to 1 to 1. So it's one of these to one of those. All right. So okay. Can you see anything wrong with what I just wrote? Think about the definition of a strong acid.
Each total distillation.
Huh?
H, total disassociation.
So what are the moles of HCl?
0.1.
0, that's right. Because everything went to H, everything went to Cl. So there's no HCl left. But because of our balanced equation, right here, there's a 1 to 1 to 1. So we know that the H moles and Cl moles are the same thing. All right, so now we know moles. So and the volume is 11 liters. Now that is also equal to the concentration of Cl, because it's 1 to 1. However many H's you got, that's how many chlorides you got. So tomorrow we're going to talk about pH. You're going to be using the log function on your calculator. Now, I used to be, when I was first went to college, I was a math major. So math came very easily for me. And when I taught math in high school, I just said a logarithm is simply an exponent. Fancy name for an exponent. So if we were to calculate pH, it's the negative logarithm of the hydrogen ion concentration. So now your calculators do this differently. Sometimes you put log first and then you put the number in, enter. Other calculators, you put the log or the number in first, then hit log. It depends on your calculator. So on my calculator, you go now pH has no units. One of the few numbers in science that has no units. Now, 2 is less than 7, so this is an acidic environment. And it's negative 2.1. Okay, go ahead and try this on your calculator. You have EI 83, 84, 89, hit the log first. Every other calculator does it differently. Some do it the same way, even within the Texas Express. It's goofy the way they do it. Now, in the math department, when they talk about logarithms, they frequently talk about the pH. And they tell it wrong. They go, pH goes from 1 to 12. Wrong. pH goes from -5 through 15. Not 1. And by the way, the pH of your stomach is 2. Positive. Just getting lost.
It just says error. Yeah. Then you have to put the numbers first and that's it. So you're right. Very much features
I did it again. I have to do this at least once every time.
Yeah.
And tomorrow we're gonna talk about key reference to PO. All right, so does this make sense? Now, small p is used a lot in biological systems. P is an easy way to represent really small numbers. And when we're talking about like this pea sugar, for example. P micromole, there's a lot of P's used, lowercase p in biological systems, medical. Obviously. Okay, that's it for today. Your lab is going to be stoichiometry, pre-lab. For those of you who have lab today, no. Okay. Wednesday, Thursday is thermodynamics as a dry lab. But tomorrow I'm going to talk about something called free energy. The guy that invented that is his name was Gibbs. Gibbs. It's like scholars. Yeah.
Look at you left the dry lab, or is it?
No, only one. We're gonna meet in here as well.
Oh, Stephen, once you get some, your, I think that's basically.
Solar.
But you have. Wait, no, there's no, wait, we don't want, because, yeah, on my. I think I missed one, last time I did, because I missed. So maybe the wrong one. I was gonna play on that. So did round it right. Yeah, same one, yeah, because I did the same thing. Take your question.
No, I gave you.
Yeah. And this one I didn't go back to it. And I make smooth. Just it was all stupid stuff. And this one the theory the one I didn't see each on the VE for the notes through the columns. Oh, I know. So I fixed it, but I started first. Okay.
Remember? That'll be a +10 on your law score.
Yeah.
Does this make sense today?
Upstairs, are we allowed to start on right away?
Yeah, as soon as I'm done here, we'll.
I know, I missed that one too.
Those are
I missed that one too.
sugar ball, I'm gonna figure it out. It's tight.
That's the, I think I figured it out. This one I just didn't do the two, I see. And then this one I was like, oh. Right. Eight point
It's
two.
850.
Yeah. Just read something.
And then this one. And that is number.
But there's no.
Yeah, every point, anytime with that short, I didn't do it.
Like only this one.
Time it teaches, I think it's.
Well, that one was. I don't know, I'm gonna write it.
Okay. Okay. It was a very long question that I had. Was influence here. Watch me activism or do that. But I have it's right here. So I say the box starts from there.
That the same as mine.
Okay.
No, you're just bigger.
Yep.
Close, but I do.
Fixing one. I'm-
On the. I give it in this class. So.
This would sum it out. You have to. Usually there's right in here a little.
This makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Rob was struggling to get all in place.
Yeah.
Just because the law was to put it as negative first.
Yes.
Yes, okay,
So,
that would make.
what I do is I make it
Easy, okay.
because I know it's whatever that is.
Try not to. Is the potential.
Yeah, but look, I just go for it to get the calculator. That's the little.
I decided to make positive.
Did show you. There's 17-year-old daughter. Because, okay, now these other needs the law.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to get second, I know how to get to mom. You have to turn like second. Turn second, and probably like, really need about it. I know. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean.
That's what my kids are so special.
Yeah. How old are your kids?
6. 6. Did you get it? My oldest is 22.
Yeah.
It's castle is everything.
Is that?
Look,
Got mine coming. Wow.
yeah, but only 3 are home right now. But the 22-year-old still pick up my insurance.
Where's change time?
I just like to make it. It's
I think.
No, I've been in this thing for years. I've already finished. No, I'm not. It's the same school. And when I was up there, I was like, you get what I'm saying? Finally, time how to feel. You just go. But I got waitlisted at Sac City this year, like, I made sure I beat everything, so then I was like, well, I'm trying to everything, almost got it, and then the same finally. Okay, go, we'll take three. We have the crisis to get to one. I'm just taking this one, the other one, just to, I just got everything. Yeah. Hopefully I'll get the by the game for the time. Yeah. So mad, I'm really, why did they even offer? Because Sac City says it's take to their changes. Oh, then if it's like here for 6, or just do 3 or 9. So I was like, let me just do 1 instead of 2 last. So I did the one side option. Yeah.
Oh. So this was done just asked, wow.
Sure. Anyway,
Everything else.
if you only work every mountain with TI does this.
Yeah.
Not consistent. And then throwing the Catskills in every model.
Just the 430.
As it's big, as it's bigger. Depending on your gaze. Thank you.
I can loan you.
Security features. It's definitely great, my professor. Okay, and then, and that's why I said, get my biology, the second one. These like slowness. So I finished with 7 lines.
Send me an email, I'll bring it.
Okay, ARC. Even also real.
Yeah, I did, okay, sorry for the.
He's just.
I did, yeah, but I did, everybody.
Yeah.
It's just.
My friend wasn't so bad. I wanted.
And you have to. Yeah. I just want to make sure. Go back and do just see. I mean, right. Maybe we'll work out.
But I forgot my name. Biology, took a lot of memorization.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I constantly say it out loud, repeat it over and over, say it out loud, like having good, you two together would be helpful if you say, but if keep within each other, and over and over, and say it out loud, spell it.
Yeah.
Both are non-level.
Yeah, I know. They call it that.
Yeah, really not good.
And my, so I got my wire 430 teacher in this life saving. The one at 431, it's like, no, you either know it or you don't. Cause I'm dyslexic too, so she, that's what will brought her on so much stuff, because she went through wrong on spelling, I'm like, it's not for lack of knowledge. Like, you see me here every day, like 4 points, are you kidding me? So the only class that was at sea was 10 through 9.
Some people do.
The other, the first.
I understand, so they would have had it at 1 point, so I wasn't sure if we still have to pay that. So is it true, like, get it?
Yeah, well, it depends for nursing, not for hygiene, you just have to have a certain children that go 5.
So they have this, but it's,
As in here,
they have the shows,
So I was getting
like, I was in law, right, having my three stations.
each age. Most of my grades.
Okay,
You did.
so let's say, log of 5. So.
I would have been this whole right now.
So this one is the box. So my calculator, or you log first. This one you have to log.
No, you don't.
That's where we're going. Log 5. 5. Log.
My sister, once I started school, she's like.
So-
So she's going for her RN. Yeah.
So the number we're putting in is a.
125.
An EE, -2 log.
But wouldn't- wait, why you didn't type in the whole thing?
The teachers make a difference. She owns from.
Oh, you
did.
already had it on second.
hours, so she's taking
Sorry.
the classes with.
1.25.
I
EE,
didn't. have to-
-2.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Log.
So I had to get stuck with.
oh,
It's a negative one, so it can be,
But he's the one that.
as long as it's 1.903.
okay, I'm gonna have to teach them.
Workout.
So put the number in
Yeah.
log,
Okay, so
So-
it's different, it's opposite backwards.
Yeah.
Okay,
then my calculator. They're both GIs too.
All Friday.
yeah,
That's what makes teaching this is a
That
pain.
makes sense.
That makes sense?
Now I can take it. Hey, you guys are the opposite.
Really good. What was it?
So I got it. Oh, good. Okay, so basically, it would be. 20, so, and then after that is the 17. To, then you got the same answer at 1.8. So your log is last. Yes. Log is last.
Right.
So I know a little bit about this from Wisdom 309, but I did that in 1.25 fall time, stacking to the E. So it's been a while, negative to then press loss.
Yes, how mine is. I didn't figure that out till later.
Yeah.
I was doing that.
Yeah, let me,
Can I get corrections even though I got this? I fixed this one already. I don't know why I didn't go back to that. And then this one, I wanna say I had it wrong because I have your copy. So I just didn't round it right. Every point matters.
see the reason why I gave just off one, this is fine to set up.
Yeah,
So I put okay there.
oh, but
Oh.
okay. And then this I fixed, but that one, that was hard, but if anything, if I think I corrected these ones, get those ones. I have those ones wrong too, so I erased it, I should have left it and fixed it, but I didn't have the dots here. And then this one, I just totally messed it up.
Do you have lab today?
I also have my project for you already too.
The what?
My project, my poster.
Oh, okay. Let's,
We're on the list.
right,
So we're gonna give everything done. And then I also, one of the other stupid points, I'm so mad at myself, my brain freezes, I'm surprised I did as well as I did. Is on the elements, I didn't circle the last two for metal. So I missed 3 points.
in lab, I'll give you a 93. Okay?
I'll take it. Every point seriously counts. Do you want me to just give you the poster stuff up in lab?
Yeah. bring it up.
Okay.
The lab's gonna be, I think, fairly short today. Cause you do the reaction, weigh everything and you're done. Then you do all the calculations at home.
Don't ever. I'm being myself, because I know better. So busy, but it's not, I'm like, because the other girl, like, almost, and it's another.